about how being the only female, like you don't have these role models and things, and different experiences. And that is something that when I was in graduate school, I used to get you don't seem like a scientist. And it felt, I don't know, like how you're supposed to take that. Like it used to feel like a compliment because you were being compared, like, oh, look, you don't look like a nerd. And it's like, oh, cool, I must not look like a nerd today. But it definitely gave you a sense of, shoot, what's that called? I'm spacing at the wrong moment. It's where you don't feel like you're good enough.
Imposter syndrome.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. It gives you imposter syndrome without even thinking about it, because you're being compared to something and you're being told, oh, you're not like that. You're different. And and even just something as easy as TV shows and things like that, not having something to discuss outside of science, like you don't have that camaraderie with something like that.
And it really is annoying how, I guess, the men in the office can talk about their bikes and their cars and doing all of this, and then I guess talking about other stuff that's more feminine is like, oh, I can't believe you watched that, or whatever. And it's like, well, I can't believe you spend all weekend doing up an old car. So
I can't believe you watched this silly show that you watched. Like my husband watched football for 4 hours. What a waste of time.
I know. So there's and I guess those sorts of conversations that happen at work but aren't about work can also add to the segregation and the isolation and the feeling of not fitting in and not making the friends the same way that your other colleagues would, because there's definitely certain conversations I'll go down which I'll just have to turn off because I'm not interested, or there's conversations that shouldn't be said in the workplace anymore. It's just stuff like that I think change is still required.
It's funny, in my field with the conferences, we had a program that was just for grad students. So I'm in a very, very small research community, and it's growing, and they wanted to make sure we all had support because the people who started it had none. In a similar way, there are no role models in it, and they didn't want us to feel alone like they felt alone. And so we had this graduate student symposium where we all met each other from across the US, and now we're all close friends. And a few of my friends, I don't ever talk science with them at all. Like all we do is talk about other stuff. And that's what I'm like, you need to turn it off. There's some people you have a meal with and they cannot turn the science talk off. And it's like, you need to be able to switch. You need to code switch. Like you need to be able to talk to other people. Otherwise it's off-putting to people who are not scientists. Because then they think that, oh, well, I can't do science because I'm not as passionate about it as you appear to be. Or just like, if I like trash TV, I can't be a scientist. Like, because we don't have anything in common. When if they were able to code switch a little better, they would be able to show like, oh, I actually do watch a lot of movies. I like this, but it's this weird, we were at this event once and we were supposed to pick somebody who we didn't know anything about their research. And they're like, you have to switch people. You guys are best friends. And it was like, I actually don't know what their research is. We've never talked about this in my entire time of knowing this person.
That's a great sign. I think, I spent a year working in Germany with like this new company. And I was out there with a couple of other people from the company. And after maybe a couple of weeks or a month, I decided I didn't want to go out for dinner with them anymore, because we would always go out for dinner or go down to the hotel restaurant. And then I started making excuses because they just always talked about work. And I was like, I cannot have it. I've just been in the office 9-10 hours a day with you guys talking about work. Like, this is my time now. And it was really difficult. At first, I didn't have the courage to tell them. I just made up excuses like, oh no, I'm going to go for a run, or, I've already picked up dinner or something. And then it wasn't until I knew them a bit better that I was like, no, I'm just not coming to dinner because I don't want to talk about work with you guys. And then obviously, if they do that, when I'm not there, then maybe decisions are made
Yes.
out over dinner, or maybe work has progressed, and you just feel that little bit more out of the loop, even though it's not your fault, I guess. So
Definitely.
yeah, that can definitely happen.
I wonder if because we think about these things, that's why we're in SciComm. And they're not.
Yes.
I know chemistry has started to focus a little more on that. And at every national meeting, the American Chemical Society holds a little workshop prior to the event about communicating to the public. And I know that's something that's starting to become bigger here, probably because of the distrust of scientists on my side of the pond. But I think that that's a really cool way of moving forward that I'm starting to notice. Is physics doing something similar? Are they starting to try to be more?
Yeah and no. I haven't really noticed anything like that happen in the UK. I feel like I only know what I do because I've looked into SciComm now.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think that definitely still needs work. But yeah, we do have, you know, prominent scientists like on the BBC and stuff like that, and we've got BBC Bite Size, which is like kind of modules on the internet, which
I love that website.
take.
I use it sometimes
Yeah.
when there's something I'm like, I just need to double check myself.
BBC Bite Size.
It's an awesome site.
Yeah, it is. I was wondering, what's your end goal with, you know, with all this? What necessarily 5 years or 10 years? You know, what's the dream?
I don't know if my dream has anything to do with me or just society. I want kids from no matter where they are to have science books as a kid. I don't think this should just be in a chemist's house because they had a baby. I don't think it should just be a science nerd thing. I think everybody should, and they should be written so that everybody can access them. I think that libraries should have them. I think I think we should just make science so much more of a tool instead of a fact, because I used to learn facts and I got the A and then I would leave and all I could do is, well, PV equals nRT. And my husband was like, yeah, but why does it do that? And I'd be like, the equation.
Yeah.
And so it's such a better way to approach the world, is to like, wow, I noticed this phenomenon, and wow, how can I explain that? Wow, did you know the molecules do this and that's why? It's just, I want science to make more sense to people, and that distrust that's been building I want people to know the difference between a good source and a bad source and things like that. So I think science has a real place in that, especially starting really young with kids. One of the problems we have today is that science isn't done in the public. All they see are the results. And so they don't see that back and forth that happens of a revision of a protocol, or your hypothesis needs revised and things like that. And so when they see things like the coronavirus and they say, oh, look, they changed their minds about it, we don't trust this. And it's like, they didn't change their minds. New data became apparent and they had to revise what they were doing. And that's how all science is. Which could be argued has started with Pluto being demoted because people don't seem to understand that, but that still rubs people the wrong way. But that's something, a hope I have. And whether it's a shelf full of my books, I don't know. As long as I'm on the path to help some of that happen through curriculum, through assessment, in some way, or even if it's just if I raise Charlie to be something that helps with that, like I just want to be a part of that in some way.
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah.